You sit down to eat the exact same lunch you've had 100 times. Chicken, rice, salad, nothing fancy, nothing new. But what if I told you the order you pick up your fork completely changes what happens inside your body? Researchers at Weill Cornell Medical College ran a fascinating experiment. They gave people the same exact meal on 2 different days. Same chicken, same bread, same vegetables, same calories. The only difference? On one day, they ate the carbs first. On the other day, they ate the protein and vegetables first and saved the carbs for last. The result? When protein and vegetables came first, blood sugar spikes dropped by up to 37%. Insulin levels dropped significantly too. Same food, same amount. Totally different metabolic outcome. Now here's why this matters way more for you than it does for a 25-year-old guy at the gym. After 40, your estrogen starts to decline. And estrogen, it turns out, is one of your body's most powerful tools for regulating insulin. So that simple shift, protein first, could be the easiest, most impactful thing you've ever done for your metabolism. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why putting protein first, on your plate, and in your priorities is the single most powerful nutritional habit for women over 40 who want to lose fat, protect their muscle, balance their hormones, and finally get off the energy roller coaster. For good. So let's start with the thing nobody warned you about. Something shifted after 40. Maybe it was the belly fat that showed up uninvited and refused to leave. Maybe it was the 2:30 crash that turned your afternoon into a fog. Or maybe it was that creeping frustration where you're eating the same things you always ate, doing what you've always done, and your body just stopped cooperating. Here's what's actually happening. And I need you to hear this, because it has nothing to do with willpower. As you move through perimenopause and into menopause, your estrogen levels decline. That's the part most people know. But what most people don't know is that estrogen plays a direct role in how your cells respond to insulin. It's not just a reproductive hormone, it's a metabolic regulator. Think of estrogen like a key that helps unlock the doors to your cells so that glucose, the sugar from your food, can get inside and be used for energy. When you had plenty of estrogen, those doors opened easily. Glucose got in, energy was steady. Everything worked. After 40, you start losing copies of that key. The glucose shows up and knocks on the door, but fewer doors are opening. So your body does what it thinks is helpful. It sends more insulin. Louder, more aggressive, like ringing the doorbell over and over. And when insulin is chronically elevated, your body gets a very clear signal: store fat. Especially right here, around the midsection. But it gets worse. That visceral belly fat, it's not just sitting there. It acts like its own little hormone factory, releasing inflammatory compounds that make your cells even more resistant to insulin, which triggers more fat storage, which creates more inflammation. It's a cycle, and it has nothing to do with how hard you're trying. A meta-analysis of 17 randomized controlled trials presented at the 2024 annual meeting of the Menopause Society confirmed this. Declining estrogen is independently linked to increased insulin resistance. It's not just aging, it's hormonal, and it's compounded by the sleep disruptions and elevated cortisol that come with this phase of life. So now that you understand why your body is more sensitive to blood sugar swings than ever, let's talk about the simplest way to take that power back. This is the protein first rule, and it's almost embarrassingly easy. You eat the same foods you already eat. You don't cut anything out. You don't count a single calorie. You just change the order. Protein and vegetables go first, carbs and starches go last. That's it. Here's what happens inside your body when you do this. Protein and fat slow something called gastric emptying, which is just a fancy way of saying they slow down how fast food leaves your stomach and hits your small intestine. When you eat protein first, it creates a buffer, a cushion, so by the time the carbohydrates arrive, they enter a digestive environment that's already set up to handle them slowly. Instead of glucose flooding your bloodstream all at once, it trickles in, gently, steadily. Think of it like a highway on-ramp. If 50 cars try to merge at the same time, you get a pileup. That's a glucose spike. But if you send a few slow-moving trucks down the ramp first, they naturally pace the flow. The same number of cars still gets through, but smoothly. No traffic jam. No emergency response. That's what protein does for your blood sugar. And there's a bonus. Protein also stimulates glucagon, insulin's balancing partner. So instead of the spike and crash pattern that leaves you ravenous and foggy by 3 p.m., you get a steady, even curve. More energy, fewer cravings, less fat storage signaling. Now here's the part that really matters for women in this stage of life. Because your insulin sensitivity is already reduced from declining estrogen, every glucose spike hits you harder than it would have 10 years ago. The insulin response is amplified. More fat storage signals, more inflammation, more of that maddening cycle where you're eating healthy, but your body won't respond. The protein first rule gives your body a head start. It compensates for the hormonal safety net you're losing. And the data on this is striking. People with existing metabolic challenges, like type 2 diabetes, saw a 49% reduction in glucose spikes just from eating food in a different order. Metabolically healthy people still saw 32%. Same food, different sequence. That's not a supplement. That's not a drug. It's just a fork. Okay, so you're eating protein first at every meal. That's step one. But there's a deeper question here, and it's one that most women over 40 have never been told the answer to. Why do you need more protein now than you did 10 years ago? After 40, your body develops something researchers call anabolic resistance. And despite the complicated name, the concept is simple. Your muscles become less responsive to the protein you eat. When you were in your 20s and 30s, eating a moderate amount of protein, maybe 20 to 25 grams at a meal, was enough to trigger a strong muscle building and repair response. Your body got the signal loud and clear. After 40, that signal gets muffled. The same amount of protein produces a weaker response. It's like trying to start a campfire. When you were younger, a few small logs caught easily. The fire roared to life. Now the kindling is a bit damp. You need bigger logs. More of them? The fire still works perfectly. It just needs a stronger signal to ignite. Research shows that after 40, you need roughly 68% more protein per meal to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis compared to younger adults. That's not a small bump. That means the 20-gram protein serving that used to be plenty, now you need closer to 30 to 35 grams at that same meal. And the current recommended dietary allowance, 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. That's a bare minimum to prevent deficiency. It was never designed to help you thrive. It was designed to keep you alive. So why does muscle matter so much? Because muscle isn't just about looking toned. Your muscle is your metabolic engine. Every pound of muscle burns more calories at rest than a pound of fat. Muscle also acts as a glucose sink. It literally pulls sugar out of your bloodstream. So when you lose muscle, your insulin resistance gets worse. Fat loss gets harder, energy drops, and you feel like nothing works. But the root issue isn't insufficient effort. It's often inadequate protein. Women are disproportionately affected by this because we start with less muscle mass than men, and we lose the protective effect of estrogen on muscle tissue right when we need it most. A study specifically in women found that increasing protein intake to 1.2 grams per kilogram per day, which is 50% more than the standard recommendation, significantly improved muscle strength, reduced fat accumulation, and enhanced overall body composition. More protein, better results, and it doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. Now here's something that might genuinely surprise you. Protein doesn't just build muscle. It actually burns more calories just by being eaten. This is called the thermic effect of food. And it's not some fringe concept. It's basic physiology. Your body uses energy to digest, absorb, and process everything you eat. But the amount of energy it uses depends dramatically on what you're eating. Fat takes very little effort to process. Your body uses maybe 0 to 3% of the calories from fat just to digest it. Carbs take a bit more, around 5 to 10%. But protein, 20 to 30%. Let me say that again. Your body burns 20 to 30% of the calories from protein just handling it, before it even does anything useful with it. Think of it this way. 3 packages arrive at your door. Fat is a simple envelope, takes 2 seconds to open. Carbs are a small box with some bubble wrap. A little more work. But protein is a piece of IKEA furniture. Your body has to unpack the box, find the instructions, sort all the pieces, and actually build something useful. That assembly process burns real energy. And it takes real time, keeping your metabolism actively working for hours. For women dealing with a metabolism that feels like it's slowed down, partly from muscle loss, partly from hormonal shifts, this isn't a gimmick. It's a meaningful advantage. And it pairs with another benefit that you're going to feel immediately. Protein stabilizes your blood sugar. Stable blood sugar helps regulate cortisol. Lower cortisol reduces cravings. And fewer cravings mean you're not standing in front of the pantry at 9 p.m., wondering why you can't stop thinking about crackers. That cortisol cravings loop is real, and it's especially vicious during perimenopause. High cortisol drives you toward refined carbs and sugar. Those spike your blood sugar. The crash that follows elevates cortisol again. It's a destructive cycle, but protein breaks it. It flips the loop from destructive to protective. Studies on healthy women specifically found that high-protein meals produced greater energy expenditure and stronger fullness signals than meals with the same calories from carbs or fat. You burn more, you eat less, and you feel more satisfied. That's 3 wins from 1 habit. So now you know the science. You know why protein first matters, why you need more of it, and why it gives your metabolism an advantage. The question is, how do you actually do this in real life? On a Tuesday, when you're busy, tired, and not remotely in the mood to meal prep? Here's the beautiful thing. This is not a meal plan. It's not a tracking system. It's not an overhaul. It's one question. Before every meal, ask yourself, where's my protein? Not after you've eaten. Not once you're already starving and grabbing whatever's closest. Before. Every time. That single question simplifies nutrition more than any app, any plan, any 30-day challenge ever could. Because when you lead with protein, everything else falls into place. You naturally eat fewer empty carbs. You feel full faster. You distribute your protein across the day, which research shows is far more effective for muscle building than loading it all into one dinner. And here's the part I really want you to hold on to. This is additive, not restrictive. You're not cutting anything out. You're not labeling foods as good or bad. You're just putting one thing first and letting that anchor stabilize the rest. On your worst, busiest, most chaotic day, a protein shake counts. String cheese counts. A handful of deli turkey rolled up in your hand over the kitchen sink counts. Done is better than perfect. Consistency beats perfection every single time. Especially right now, when your cortisol is already elevated from hormonal shifts, and the last thing your body needs is the added stress of a rigid diet, you feel guilty about failing. So here's what I want you to actually do. Start tomorrow morning. Before you eat anything else, get 20 to 25 grams of protein in. 2 to 3 eggs gets you there. A cup of Greek yogurt, a protein shake, even leftover chicken from last night. Yes, chicken at 7 a.m. counts. The goal is protein on your plate before anything else touches your fork. Then at lunch and dinner, use the check. Where's my protein? If you look at your plate and there isn't a clear protein source, add one. Keep a rotisserie chicken in the fridge. It's the laziest, most effective protein strategy that exists. Canned tuna, pre-cooked shrimp, deli turkey, a bag of edamame. Keep grab-and-go protein options stocked at all times. And when you eat in this order. Protein and vegetables first. Spend the first 5 to 10 minutes of the meal on those. Then move to your carbs and starches. At a restaurant, the bread basket goes last, not first. You don't need a timer. You don't need an app. You just eat the chicken and salad before the rice. Aim for 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal. Not per day, per meal. That's roughly a palm-sized portion of meat or fish. This is the threshold that overcomes anabolic resistance and keeps your muscle-building signals firing all day. Build yourself what I call a protein emergency kit. Stock your bag, your desk, your car. Protein bars, check the label, aim for 20 grams or more of protein and under 10 grams of sugar. Individual Greek yogurt cups, string cheese, jerky. Single-serve protein powder packets. These are not cheating, they're strategy. And finally, pair this with strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Protein without resistance exercise is only half the equation. The combination of adequate protein and strength training has been shown to restore insulin sensitivity in postmenopausal women to premenopausal levels. Even bodyweight exercises count as a starting point. Squats in your living room, push-ups against your kitchen counter. You don't need a gym. You need a signal to your muscles that they're still needed. Now remember that lunch we started with? The chicken, the rice, the salad, the one you've eaten 100 times. Nothing about it changed. Same plate, same food, same you. But now you know that picking up the chicken and salad first isn't just a preference. It's a metabolic strategy. Your body handles that meal completely differently when protein leads the way. The glucose curve flattens, the insulin response calms, the cravings quiet down, the muscle building signals fire. That's the protein first rule, the smallest change that changes everything, especially for a body that's been waiting for you to work with it, not against it. If this helped you see your plate differently, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And drop a comment telling me, what's your go-to protein source? I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.